Hi friends, as always I'm very excited to see you here. If we are meeting for the first time, I'm Shankar Pandey and this is Dr. USB channel. I host videos on media, communication, research and statistics on this channel. To stay updated with the latest on this channel, I urge you to consider subscribing to the channel. Recent studies have shown digital journalism to be deinstitutionalized, participative, innovative and entrepreneurial. Let's see digital journalism studies in this video. One of the differences from traditional journalism is that digital journalism is influenced by metrics like page impressions and user engagement, for example. Unlike news publishers, digital platforms do not take responsibility for content published there. Journalism in online form began with Canada's The Globe and Mail in 1979. It began publishing news electronically on the same day as its print edition. In 1980, the Columbus Dispatch published US's first online newspaper. These days, news multimedia sites include blogs and live blogs, digital-only videos and newscasts, podcasts and photo galleries. Digitalization has taken us away from the era of mass communication. The key concepts through which we used to make sense of newspapers, radio and television are becoming obsolete. This also holds good with the concept of audience. The audience as passive recipients no longer holds good. They are now regarded as prosumers. According to Silvio Weisbord, digital journalism is the networked production, distribution and consumption of news and information. It is characterized by network settings and practices that expand the opportunities and spaces for news. Digital journalism both shapes and is shaped by new technologies and platforms. According to Steenson and others, digital journalism is the transforming social practice of selecting, interpreting, editing and distributing factual information of perceived public interest to various kinds of audiences in specific but changing genres and formats. It is marked by an increasingly symbiotic relationship with the audiences. Digital journalism is interactive, as the relationship between digital publishers and consumers is two-way. It's unfinished, as the possibility of future permutations is always there in digital journalism. It is long-lasting. The lifespan of a digitally published work is counted in decades. In many cases, the headline and the link are saved to online archives. Even if news is created to reflect local interests, sharing via social media makes it potentially global. According to Malik and Shapiro, digital journalism may be recognized by the presence of some combination of interactive engagement, author-audience collaboration, contingent publication, resilient impact and global reach. In the past, reporters mainly relied on their gut feeling to make decisions about what stories to pursue and publish. Now, metrics which trace data such as page impressions, time spent on pages and sites, completion of article reads and so on are being used to guide editorial processes and decisions such as what types of leads journalists prioritize. According to Elbridge and others, digital journalism studies critically explores, documents and explains the interplay of digitization and journalism, continuity and change. It should further strive to focus, conceptualize and theorize tensions, configurations, power imbalances and the debates these continue to raise for digital journalism and its futures. Scholars of digital journalism studies have focused their efforts towards algorithms and automation. Research into automation and algorithms has raised important questions about how audiences may be approached through news recommender systems. One study found that people prefer automated news when it comes to credibility. News publishers have become dependent on social media platforms for exposure and participation. However, platform companies have maintained they are not publisher themselves and thus do not produce content or take responsibility for content like news publishers. Recently, however, there have been some movement in the other direction. Digital journalists also turn to social media for online sourcing. Sourcing via social media potentially opens the gateway for voicing a much broader and heterogenic public in journalism. In practice, this does not necessarily mean that citizens are featured in stories, as elite groups are overrepresented, and also because journalists largely rely on predefined networks of sources. Digital journalism is often dominated by a discourse of intimacy, in which personal opinions and self-disclosures are key characteristics. People increasingly get their news updates from their social media feeds. News stories are increasingly framed by and recontextualized within personalized social media feeds. Digital journalism literature is oriented normatively towards the citizen participation tradition of public communication. In this tradition, the basis of legitimacy is the idea that the media belong to the people with an emancipatory, expressive, and critical purpose. The legacy press often fails to meet these idealized conceptions. However, participation is understood in libertarian terms that emphasize that there are only individuals. According to Vice, in digital journalism, individuals are unmoved, deraced, declassed, and degendered. Digital journalism ignores that this means unequal access to the material, social, and cultural resources necessary to participate in democratic life. According to Kreis and Brennan, digital journalism should be deinstitutionalized, which implies that the legacy news institutions no longer have the power to decide what is news. Also, processes and products of journalism are decentralized. It should also be innovative to utilize new technology and create new business models. Digital journalists are entrepreneurial. It requires journalists to invent their own jobs through practices like starting their own companies, self-promote and brand themselves for success in the market, and work flexibly and under precarious conditions. Entrepreneurial journalism refers to the honing of a mindset and a set of business skills for a sustainable future. In the freemium model, some content is provided free and some requires payment. This is a classic upselling strategy, but requires high quality, attractive content for the paying. News organizations using this model provide some content free to support brand maintenance and to help market their paid access plans. By accessing the most viewed videos on the YouTube channels run by 4 major news companies, The Guardian, New York Times, Washington Post, and Wall Street Journal, one study concluded that the news videos going viral often focus on positive news while having less social significance. Journalistic videos on YouTube came with calls for political, economic, and social or lifestyle actions. Crowdsourcing channels information to journalists quickly and from a large number of people. Crowdsourcing requires opening up the journalistic process, Crowdfunding is a subtype of crowdsourcing, and it channels the crowd's resources to journalism as funding, with a growing number of stories financed this way. Thanks for staying along, friends. As always, it has been a delight having you here. I'll be back with another video very soon. Till then, have a great time.